In the current market, Solana is one of the most undervalued cryptocurrencies at the moment. In today's video, we are going to discuss Solana and why this is the case. But before we get into the video, welcome to Wealthmatic, your regular dose of crypto, wealth, and millionaire inspiration. Here we talk about the latest news, tricks, and tips in the world of crypto, so be sure to subscribe to my channel. Very recently, controversy sparked around Solana and its DeFi system. Solana, the decentralized lending protocol on the Solana network, has narrowly avoided having 95% of the SOL deposits in its lending pool liquidated. As you can see right here, a single Solana whale was actually on the verge to crash the entire Solana network with a whale worth more than $100 million of loan. This whale nearly drained the whole liquidity pool, and if it did, then Solana would be in a complete ruckus as it would have caused major ripples within the space. In response to this, Solana released news to apprehend the controversy and the crash issue overall inside their own network. So what they did was that a specific whale borrower moved $25 million worth of USDC debt in hopes to alleviate Solana of some burden and overall reducing the protocol's risk. This move shows great commitment for Solana in order to not let things go downhill ever again, and of course to avoid something like the near crash moment to never happen within the network once more. Well, it seems like this issue has been sorted. So let's move on and talk about the Solana DeFi update. This update has actually raised a lot of concerns within the network, and a lot of people are worried about it. Some say that they're worried that the DeFi ecosystem will collapse, or that they're in trouble with this update. Well, definitely that whale loan was a concern, but if we look over here, obviously we are now so far from our all-time high in terms of total value locked. The all-time high peaked somewhere in the 14 billion range, but now we're laying low at the 2-3 billion range. If we hover on a year ago, which is somewhere in June 2021, we can see that Solana is only at less than the billion mark, sitting somewhere around 900 million, and when we zoom out, we can actually see that things are going considerably well in terms of total value locked and the value of DeFi. We can also see a steady incline for the amount of people that are brought into the DeFi ecosystem, which technically means a lot more money being locked into the Solana DeFi ecosystem. Now, more on the DeFi ecosystem. The insane increase in volume for Magic Eden has been evident for the past months already. Magic Eden, which is basically the OpenSea of Solana, has seen massive usage growth in terms of volumes and traders, with a 150% increase of traders and almost a staggering 300% increase in volume. When we compare it to OpenSea, the numbers vary by a huge margin, with differences up to 4, 5, 6 digits. This shows that there's certainly a lot of momentum for Solana NFTs as more and more interest is being relayed to the general population. And this momentum can really be seen right here as Magic Eden hits unicorn status at 1.6 billion valuation after successfully raising $130 million. This is huge news for Magic Eden and Solana. This means that there's more VCs coming in that are looking at their business plans, financial plans, current assets, and their overall business standing. Magic Eden is riding that insane growth, which is great news for the NFT community. Because of the crypto crash that's very prevalent right now, a lot of people may have failed to remember that the Bank of America actually said Solana could become the crypto world's Visa. This only shows that there's so much institutional attention surrounding Solana and its operations. Certainly, it's so easy to utter words, but it's different when there's concrete action following it. And that is exactly what we see in Solana, as institutional investors are doubling their investments for Solana in spite of the crypto market downtrend that we are witnessing right now. This article was written back in May, but the trend is still very evident until this time. This is really interesting because institutional investors are eyeing for Bitcoin and Solana specifically. So let's take a look at the numbers and see for ourselves. Of course, Bitcoin stays on top of the list for flows by assets, since it's inarguably the safest crypto right now. And if we can scan through the list, we can actually see de-investment for a lot of cryptos such as Ethereum, Binance, Tron, and Polkadot. Meanwhile, Solana is seeing an insanely huge growth with almost $110 million worth of institutional investments since the beginning of 2022. You may think that this is a relatively small amount of money, but when we compare it to other entries on this list, such as Cardano per se, we can see that the difference speaks volumes. Cardano has institutional investments worth around $11 million for the past 6 months. This shows that large institutions are seeing great potential in Solana that they are not seeing in Cardano, and pretty much every other cryptocurrency except Bitcoin and Solana themselves. And now let's dive deeper into their chart and set some expectations for Solana for the upcoming weeks and months. First things first, Solana actually managed to bounce back at the most critical place it could have bounced. If they lost this support somewhere in $22 to $23, then it's no doubt that we could have been seeing a massive drop to $12 to $13, which is basically a 50% loss. But fortunately, that's off the table. And in the middle of June, Solana also managed to have bounced, and that's a pretty good indicator. But the main question with that is this something for the long term? Is it an elongated bounce? Or is it just turning a corner? Well, when we look at the chart from a macro view, we can see that Solana is extremely undervalued, and we're really way below the 200-day simple moving average. In terms of its RSI, it's not really looking good, but we are seeing some consistency in the beginning of the year, and now in the mid-year, with the RSI staying afloat somewhere in between 34 to 45. Looking at it now, I think it's highly possible for an increase or a run-up right here, given that it has a similar trend from the beginning of the year. And possibly, it's going to come back down and test a couple more supports. Now, there's a lot of macro pressure for prices as crises are never ending, from the Feds, oil price hikes, inflation, and a whole lot more. This is why I strongly recommend that when it comes to crypto, especially with Solana, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, you have to look at it in the long term. I mean, large institutions are betting big in Solana, and if you have the same type of enthusiasm, then this is the perfect time for you to get involved in the ecosystem. And that's basically it for this video. Check out other videos on my channel if you are interested in more crypto and money-making content just like this one. If you have completed the video, hit the like button and tell me what you think in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I post something new. That is it for today. See you in the next video.